All right, it's 4 o'clock at my end here, and I want to welcome everyone here present in this call to session 2 of the Introduction to Cybersecurity class that is being floated by the ACETEL-CISCO Academy. So I'm very sure for those of us who have completed the course, you'll see that the course is actually a very interesting course and quite enlightening, especially for those who are new to cybersecurity. And even those who are in the field of cybersecurity, you find out that, you can never stop learning. There's always new things to learn every day. So today we are going to be reviewing chapter 2, which is attacks, concepts, and techniques. Last week we checked the need for cybersecurity, where we got to understand why we need cybersecurity as individuals, as an organization. That's the knowledge of cybersecurity. And we also try to explain what data is, since we're actually trying to secure our data. And we try to let ourselves know about what this data is. And tried also to speak on a few ways on how to ensure that we safeguard our data online and offline. So I'm happy to announce that, it said last week that the course is a very simple course, just about 15 hours, and you can complete it, within a week. There are about 35 persons have completed this course already. So if you're yet to do so, this is supposed to encourage you that you can actually complete the course, and keep coming for the live sessions where we just interact, and then we introduce some other concept that you may not have seen in the material to you. All right, and during the week, I got a lot of emails for people requesting for the offline copy of the material that is being used in this course. Well, as it stands, Cisco has not provided an offline copy of the course, so you have to log into NetAccount before you can access the materials for this course. So please, there is no offline copy. You have to access it online. So in a brief moment, I will be showing us a certain concept, although I've showed us that in a video, that how to access a certain part of the materials of the course, to reinforce knowledge and all that. But I'll just quickly share my screen and show us what I'm talking about. But before that, I will really love somebody to help us define what vulnerability is. We talked about this last week. So while I'm trying to put up my screen, if you have an understanding of, which I'm sure you do, or just give us what you understand by vulnerability. So you can raise your electronic hand, and then we're going to send you a request so you can unmute yourself, and then you share your ideas about vulnerability with us. Just a short definition, just what you understand by vulnerability. Okay. So let me quickly share my screen so we can see some, just a second, please. Sure. All right, I believe we can all see my screen. So if you notice, you've been going through your material, you will find out that under every chapter, there is this place, there is this activity called terms and concepts practice. Now, I'm putting this up so we can see, because I've noticed that some of us have been having a little bit of issues getting the complete 100 score, the full score for some of the quizzes. So actually, most of the answers, if not all, are here in form of flashcards. Now, not only because of the quiz, but you can get to see the definitions of certain terms for certain terms that are inside of the material that you'll be reading. And of course, we showed us in that video that it's just as simple as tapping on it. You see, we have security vulnerability. What does it mean? If you tap on it, you get to see what it means. And then you keep on going, what's an exploit? This just like a flashcard to help you reinforce knowledge. So please, If you have not been taking advantage of this terms and concept practice, please do so. It will help reinforce knowledge. It's going to help you to understand some of these concepts better, and it will stick better, especially when you are reading through the course in other chapters. So we have about 3 hands raised. The first hand here is Aderoba Deusi. So I'm going to have asked you to unmute. So please tell us where you're joining the call from, where you're joining us from, and what you understand by vulnerability or security vulnerability. You have the floor, Aderoba Deusi.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll just want to quickly go in a short way by saying that vulnerability refers to the state of being open or exposed, that is in terms of systems open to attacks or any form of exploitation that can be posted towards it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. You forgot to tell us where you're joining the call from. All right, let me unmute. You can unmute yourself.
I'm joining from Lagos.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Area.
All right, thank you so much. We still have, let me just take 1 or 2 hands. We have Abel Banda. You can unmute yourself. Tell us where you're joining the call from and what you understand by vulnerability.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
My name is Abel Banda. I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay.
Yeah, vulnerability simply means a state of being exposed to danger. Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for that. Just one more person. Let's take, who will I take here? Daniel, please unmute yourself. Tell us where you're joining the call from and give us a very short what you understand by vulnerability.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Idoren Daniel from Abuja. Vulnerability is simply a state of being unsecure. You are not secured, whether physically or your network device is not secure.
All right,
being
thank you.
To attack.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Sorry, we can't take everybody. We're still going to have that section where you're going to contribute. There's going to be a section later on where you can raise up your hand and you participate in a certain quiz. It's a quiz per se, but you will see it's actually a very interactive and interesting quiz. So you'll get your chance to let us know how well you understand the course so far. So to take us further for today's session, just as I said earlier on, we are going to be exploring or going through chapter 2, which is attacks, concepts, and techniques. So to take us further on that is my boss here, Mr. Segun Buhari, the lead instructor, one of the lead instructors for the ACETEL-CISCO Academy. So he's going to be taking us through attacks, concepts, and techniques. So please do pay attention. He's a guru in this field, and he's going to really help us understand this with real life experience. So please let's welcome Mr. Segun Buhari.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's glad to be here. I'm happy to see all of us. If I am asked that I should look out for the best of the best professionals, cybersecurity professionals, I will just point them here. Look at all of you. You are the best of all professionals in cybersecurity. All right, having said that, we'll just go straight to chapter 2. And I'm very sure that some of us here have actually completed the session as in this chapter 2. So if you have done that, we are in this shoe together. We'll collaborate together to help those who are yet to actually go through the chapter 2, so that everybody can be on the same page and we'll all have a good learning experience. So we just want to go straight to my slides, and let's see how we actually deal with the topic for today. we've seen the need, why the need for cybersecurity, and now what are the various attacks, the concept and techniques. This chapter will cover, as a cybersecurity professional, how do you analyze, an attack? After you have a cyber attack, you as a professional, how do you analyze it? And we also have a chance to also explain to us the characteristics and function of a cyber attack, how a security vulnerability is exploited. We identify the examples of security vulnerabilities, and just like the wonderful definitions given, the first person says the state of openness, when you're exposed to danger and when you are unsecure. Wonderful definitions, and it shows you have an idea of what it is. We also talked about malware, the method of infiltration, and the last part of today, we'll talk about the security landscape. This promises to be a very wonderful and exciting session. So I want to ask us, why do you think systems are attacked? I want to know, why do you think systems are attacked? I can put it in the chat. Why do you think systems are attacked? Or why do you think attackers want to attack? Why do we have attacks? Yes, I'm waiting for responses. You can just put it in the chat box. Why do we have attacks? Why do people attack? Why do we have cyber attacks today? Okay, Topet, I will raise his hand, to exploit the system for criminal gains. Wonderful. I even like the terms that you use to exploit. It's a cybersecurity term. Very good. They want to exploit for criminal gains. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Aderoba Adewusi. To steal identity. Oh, I know this person. Wonderful. God bless you. To steal identity. Yes. What kind of identity? To have access to set. Wonderful. To exploit person. Whoa. Then I think I should just go off the screen so that you guys can take up and continue with this session, because you to prove expertise. Okay, well, to an extent, for personal benefit. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's move on and see the kind of cyber attacks that we have and how we can analyze them together. Now, when we talk of vulnerabilities, just like you have all said, it's a state of openness. It exposes you to danger and you are unsecure. And of course, when we talk about security vulnerabilities now, there are basically two of them: the software defect or the hardware. In a system, you have the hardware and the software that makes up a system. You understand what I'm saying? So with that, let's see this term. When you say an exploit, it's actually a term that you use when somebody wants to take advantage of a known vulnerability. That is the key word, because if it is not known, then there will be no way for me to write a program or try to exploit that loophole. And an attack is that act. The act, when I say the act of eating, can I say is feeding, or the act of feeding is eating? That act itself is called an attack. So those are the two terms that will be coming up most often than not. And as an expert, it is always good to use the right term at the right time. So when we talk about the software vulnerabilities, it usually introduces errors in operating system or application code. Now let's see this. When there's an error in application code or in operating system, there's possibly going to be a weak link. And when there's a weak link, that shows the system is vulnerable. Somebody can go in. For those of us that can relate, imagine this is my Christmas jeans, and bringing it up from the wardrobe, this is what I have. What advice will you give me, as I don't have money to get a new one? Yeah, I want to see response in the chat box. Maybe the mail will be able to tell me better. What am I supposed to do to this my wonderful jeans that I got from UK? And this is the situation, and I need to use it tomorrow. What do you think I should do? Yes, I'm listening. Oh, you are. Oh, somebody said patch it. Oh, I'm very sure you are talking from experience. I'll just patch it now. Just look for one cloth, either from inside or from outside. I'll patch it, wear my thing. Maybe I'll put on one dalamia or maybe a long flowing sleeve so that it will cover it. Yes, a tailor will do that for you. Thank you. So get a piece of wonderful, wear a long shirt, okay? All this, wear a long shirt, patch it, a tailor will do it for me. All this is in the process of covering this. Because if it is not covered, imagine I wear it and I'm sitting and a cockroach enters my body through this hole. You know the kind of display I will be displaying. So that is why you find systems today running applications are being updated daily. In fact, every moment you see applications being updated or upgraded and updated. Operating systems, the patches are sent. The patches are what you use to correct an error. When there's an error in operating systems, you write a patch and to cover it up. And that's why you have system updates, Windows updates, and the likes. That's the essence of it, is to cover up vulnerability. And it is very, very important. And applications, even such as web browsers, mobile apps, and web servers are often updated. You know, almost every time you find all these updates going on. So it is good. I don't want to do system update on my laptop or on my system. You're actually shortchanging yourself. It is good to run this update so that the system, so that it will patch up all the loopholes, all the vulnerable, it will, I mean, guide against all attacks and exploits that will be inherent in that system. Specifically, in 2015, there was this sinful knock, is a vulnerability in Cisco iOS, and it allows the attackers to gain control of the routers. You can imagine what that means, to monitor network communication and even infect other network devices. So the simple advice is that make sure you verify the downloaded iOS that you are using. That's just one of the ways to mitigate this. And those you give control to have access, there should be a limitation to who have access to what. You know, maybe the servers, the routers, the switches, and the likes. Who have access to what we help with that. And there's what brought up the project Zero. There's this what do they call them now? PT team. That's a penetrating testing team. A very good example is the project Zero, which Google formed. And these people is a team that are dedicated to finding software vulnerabilities. So having said that, those are software vulnerability that we have. Then we also have the hardware vulnerability. If you look at this chair, it's a chair, and if you look at it, even from the design, it has a defect, maybe somewhere around here. If I sit on this with my weight, the thing will just break and collapse. So if the design of the hardware has flaws from the design, automatically it is a vulnerability. It is a hole that has been created for attacks to come in. And coming to mind is the row hammer. You know, when you have RAM memory exploits, allow data to retrieve data from nearby addresses, memory cells. So if all these things, when you talk of security vulnerability, of course, you need to look at the software, and you also need to look at the hardware. And majorly is the designs in the hardware that causes vulnerability, and why the errors in the operating system or the application code causes for the software vulnerability. So let us move on. How do we now categorize these security vulnerabilities? There are quite a number of them. We have the buffer flow. You know, if I'm going to ask us, what do you understand by the word buffer? Must have heard it before. You know, like it's a memory area that is being allocated specifically for an application. Now imagine when that area that is allocated, you don't have data written to that particular space beyond the limits that it can contain. You have a core, and you keep putting water more and more at it. When it gets to the drain, it continues to flow. So when there is a buffer overflow, obviously that is That is a vulnerability that will come up. Then the non-validated input is when you force programs to behave in an unintended way, in a way they are not supposed to behave. Imagine us being in a room, maybe we are just 5, 10, 15 of us in a room, and 1 or 2 people there brings out harms, maybe guns and the likes. Tell me, if they tell you to sit down, you will sit down, even when you don't want to sit down. If they tell you to stand up, you will stand up. Even if you have boil in your leg, you will stand up. You will behave in an unintended way. You will behave in a way you don't want to behave before because of those instructions. So non-validated input is when programs are forced to behave in an unintended way, and that brings about a vulnerability. Also, we talked about the race conditions, the weakness in security practices, access control. You have to both physical access control and the security practices. Who has access to something? Who can do what? That is why you need to define the roles. Even among the employees, they need to have a role. This is where Mr. A can get to. This is where Mr. B can start from and can get to. This is what can. It must be clearly defined. If it is not, then it brings room. There's an openness, there's a window for attacks to come up. Then let's move on. Having said that, we want to talk about malware. Where does malware comes from? When I say you are being malicious, this is English now, even though I didn't go to school, but when they say malicious, it means something that is bad, something that is evil. So if I say, Miracle has some malicious character, then that means I'm saying he has some bad behavior, something that is not good. So when I say malware, that mal comes from malicious, then the ware comes from software. So that's why we have malware. So it's called malicious software. And they are used to steal data, to bypass access controls, to cause harm to organizations or compromise a system, which can be internal or external. And there are various types of them: spyware, hardware, boot, ransomware, scareware. The spyware, they track and spy on the user. Maybe you are on your phone, every time you have pattern on your phone, and you always do, somebody is trying to see how you are drawing the pattern. It takes time, and they spy, they track, okay, usually do it sound like this, usually do it sound like this. Someday they can get your phone and they try it and they get it. So with that, it's a kind of, the design is tracked to spy on the user, and you have activity trackers, keystroke collection, and data capture. Hardware is a delivered advertisement. It usually comes with spyware. When you have advertisement supported software, it's designed to deliver advertisement automatically. You can imagine when you're on the system, you just see some adverts. Some hardware is designed only to deliver advertisement, but it's also common to hardware and with spyware. Boot automatically, they automatically performs action. If you remember the word robot, they are gotten from there, but it's a malware that is designed them to automatically perform action that are usually online. When you are online, this is when boot malware can actually take effect. In most cases, they are harmless, but on increasing uses of malicious boot, then you have what you have bootnet. Ransomware, just from the name ransom, it holds your computer system with data captive until this one, we can call them kidnappers, when they require for ransom. If you don't pay 100 million, you won't get a APC ticket. Sorry, if you don't pay 100 million, you won't get your loved one. You just have to part with something to get your system back to you. The system will be encrypted. You cannot do anything. There was a time we experienced that in our office, and you have to pay dollars. So if those information or the data of that particular system is important to you, and you want to get them back. The scareware passes you to take a specific action based on fear. You have a pop-up. Oh, your window is about to crash. Click this link. Hey, I don't want this thing to crash. You click, scareware. By that, it gives room for attackers to attack your system. You have the rootkit. It modifies the operating system to create a backdoor. The operating system will be modified. When something is modified, it's no more follow-up. It's no more as it was. You understand? You have modified something. You have made some changes. The operating system, some changes have been made on the operating system, and by making those changes, a backdoor is created, and from the backdoor, they can attack the system. If I know that in your house, the back door that leads to the kitchen is always open, I don't need to come in through the front door where there's a dog, where there are burglary proofs and the like. I will go through the back door, and that is what this malware does. Then virus. It's a common term. Everybody knows it. We talk about virus. They are malicious executable code. They are malicious that is attached to other executable files, and they often look legitimate programs, but it takes you, the user, to activate them, and they can be activated at a particular time and at a particular day. So that is something about a virus. They can be harmless and simply display a picture. It depends. But most viruses are now spread using USB. Bottom of your flash, you don't know where it's coming from. USB flash drives fixed into the system, or optical disks, or network shares, or even via email. Viruses, these are the common ways through which viruses are now being circulated. Trojan horse is another type of malware. The horse. This one, it carries malicious operations under the guise of a desired operation. The code exploits the privileges of the user in order for it to be run. They are found in image files. It could be in image files, it could be in audio files, And one of the major differences between the Trojan horse and the virus is that the Trojan horse binds itself to non-executable files. The Trojan horse, like if an image file now is non-executable, you understand what I mean by non-executable? Any application that have .exe at the back, that extension shows it has to be executed. It's an executable file. So if I have an image file or an audio file, and I want to just hear some audio, it's a non-executable file. The Trojan horse binds itself to such. The viruses will bind themselves to an executable file. Then people talk about worms. This one, they replicate themselves by themselves independently, exploiting vulnerability in networks. This one usually affects the network. My network is slow. What is causing this slow in network? What is this? It means that network is infected by a worm. After a host is infected, the worm is able to spread itself. And on the network, we have hosts. I'm sure you understand this. On the network, we have hosts. Each of the terminals is a host. So when one of the hosts is being affected, it replicates itself via the network. If I have different, maybe 20 or 30 hosts in the network, one is affected via the network, it goes through to the other ones, and it even breaks down the whole network. So that's how what you can say about the worms. And let's look at another type of malware, which we talk about man in the middle or man in the mobile. The man in the mobile is more recent, but the man in the middle has been for some time. They take control over a device without your own knowledge, without the user's knowledge. You can imagine somebody taking control over your device, over your mobile phone, over your laptop, and I'm not doing this. Not that the person is connecting remotely with your idea or with your knowledge. Okay, you know, there are applications you can use to connect. You can work remotely on the system. That is not it. You just cannot do anything. Your system is taking over from you. That is called a man in the middle. The attackers take control over a device without your knowledge. With that level of access, the attacker can intercept or capture any useful information that is coming to you, and you are like helpless. How will I do it? The same thing in the mobile. The variation is that the attack used to take control over the mobile device. When infected, the mobile device can be instructed to exfiltrate or use sensitive information. You know, when there's an attack, there are so many things that can come up or that will take place. So the most important thing is to present it to the barest minimum so that even this attack will not come. And before we round up, that we see when there's an attack, what do you do? How do you go about it? It's part of what you do. So what are some of the symptoms during the COVID era? They say, if you see somebody sneezing, somebody extremely hot or cold, those are the symptoms of COVID-19. So when there's an increase in your CPU usage, imagine you go to the task manager and you see the skyrocketed percentage of your CPU usage, then it tells you, I hope any of this malware have not affected the system. Then the computer speed also decreases, the system crashes often or freezes. You know, you are just working and everything just froze, and what is happening? Web browsing speed is decreased. Unexplainable problems with network connections. You are sure your connections is right. There is no point of failure. You know, everything is intact. The cables are good. The devices are optimal, and you just can't explain what is happening. It could be a malware attack the network. Your files are just being modified, or you get to the system and you see that some files have been deleted. Where is it coming from? How? Who touched my system? Who deleted my file? Who did this and that? Everybody might say, I don't know. Are you not the owner of your system? Are you not, you know? It shows, it's a symptom that, perhaps the system has been attacked, or an email is being sent without your knowledge or consent. Those are red signals or points, flashlights, that you quickly need to do something about it before it actually goes out of hand. Now let's move on to another very interesting thing. What are some of the methods of infiltration? That is, method of how these attacks can come. There are three methods anyway: the pretexting, the tailgating, or when you say tailgating, or you say gate crash, or something for something, scratch my back, I scratch your back. So social engineering is actually when you manipulate individual in performing actions or giving out confidential information. Somebody comes to me now because I work in the sensitive area of my organization, and they say, you see, the CEO there is problem. In fact, tell lies so that they can to gain access to some privileged data. You see the student. In fact, there's a particular student. They formulate lies and say, okay, this is the phone number of the student. This is the address. This is this. You release the data of such a student. It's pretexting and it's a social engineering. They are being manipulated. They work on emotions, and you feel, yes, you are trying to salvage the situation, yet you are actually compromising. The tailgating is an attacker quickly follows an authorized person to a secure location. In most cases, maybe you have a server room, and your servers, everything is there, and there's a biometric before you get into the room. And as you are opening, somebody enters straight with you. That's tailgating. And something for something, just as this, scratch my back, I scratch your back. Give me this, I'll give you this. Give me this, I'll give you this. All in the sense of compromising the security parameters of the. So Another method of infiltration is Wi-Fi password cracking. Of course, once they want to crack your Wi-Fi password is to discover what your password is, And when I get the password to your Wi-Fi, I will just be using it as manna from above. So I can use social engineering to actually crack to get this, and the attacker manipulates a person who knows the password into providing it. Give me what is the password to the router or to the Wi-Fi. No, I can't give you. It's only for some people. Don't worry. Take this biscuit. Take this. I'll give. Is it not just that's social engineering when you manipulate people? Brute force. The attacker tries several passwords and attempt to guess the password. Especially those of us that uses very very plain text or very very simple passwords. Maybe my date of birth, the name of my firstborn, the name of my wife because I love her so much, all those things are too simple. And let's say, for instance, maybe 5-letter words, you can do permutation and combination. You keep trying the combinations together, and there are even applications that can help with that. And before you know it, the password is cracked. Network sniffing, the password may be discovered by listening. There are applications, they capture packets sent on the network to sniff, to see, these are packets that are sent over the network. They are 3 devices, and you say, as a dog will sniff, are there passwords in it? Once they are there, they pick it up. So those are ways passwords can be, Wi-Fi passwords can be cracked. So we'll move on now to phishing. Phishing. You see, most of us, we must have heard about this, and if we have not heard about it, then perhaps maybe it has even happened to us. And you have it happen via email. You see some emails will be sent to you, or even some sites that will look exactly as the original. They send fraudulent email disguised as being from a legitimate trusted source. And in the process of tricking you into installing some malware on the device or personal information, that is phishing. It's really via mail. But when you talk of spear phishing, this one now, they say, now you we want cash. It's highly targeted, maybe towards a particular person. It's highly targeted phishing attack. Since they both use email, the attacker, what will they do? Mr. Murphy was trying to tell us in the last class. Maybe you have surfed the net at one time or the other, and you want to buy jeans. You look at, they research and say, these are your likes. This person likes this. They try to exploit that your interest and to get you down. I want to pause here for a little activity. I want Mr. Miracle to bring that up on phishing so that we will have a very, very good understanding of what phishing is all about before we move on to the next part of the chapter 2. So, Mr. Miracle, please come up with the exercise.
All right. So much, sir. So I was thinking shift it to the front so that you can come around because of the time it can consume, so that we don't exceed.
Okay, I should just finish up.
So I'll come back to it. Just give a few tips on it.
All right, no problem. So let me just continue again. We'll just go to the last part of the presentation then and see and round it up from there. Okay, so from phishing now, let's move on and see what do we have. Vulnerability exploitation. Now, another common method of how systems can be exploited or can be infiltrated. They will scan the computers and gain information about them. So what are the steps? What are the steps they will go through? Number one is you want to gather information about the target system. First thing we want to go up now must know the address. even if I do not know, they will send the address to the robber. This is the address, you know. And before an address can be sent to you, have gathered information. Maybe they send an address to the person now that is in one state. You want to know, how will I get to the state? Which is the shortest, you know, all these things. That's even what an attacker will do. They want to gather information about the target system. You can even use phone scanners or use social engineering to gather information that can help them. Now, when this information are gathered, then they determine learn the information from this step one. You know, you gather information about a particular location. I can go through this route. I can go through this route. I can do this. You now put them on the table to analyze. Okay, what can I learn from this information that will help me to achieve my aim? Then, once they have that, they now look for, in this information I've gathered, is there any loophole? Is there anything that is vulnerable that we can exploit? Once they see it, they exploit. They write a program to exploit it or write it. So that is basically how the steps they follow. And advanced persistent threat is multiple phase, is long term, and is a specific one. It's a, as in, let's say, it's a calculated, as in it is. I'm trying to look for the correct adjectives now. It is well funded, you know. It's like when you have two nations, and I want to, maybe it's a cyber war, you know, it is well calculated, it is well funded, there's a budget for it, and you deploy customized welfare for such an attack. That's the advanced one anyway, and it takes time, and you use multiple phases, not just a single phase like that for it. So we move on to another part of it, just trying to rush up because of time so that we can have a broad overview of all this, so that when we go back to the class, to the material when we are reading, it will help us. So DOS is denial of service. When your network surface is disrupted. Now, there are two types of this. We have the overwhelming quantity and the malicious formatted attempt. Now, imagine in a network, there's a ghost or application, and you send enormous data, quantity of data at a rate it cannot handle. It will overwhelm the device, and the device will stop malfunctioning. Imagine you now, they give you one is this sachet now, or one bag of pure water, and it's got a sachet water, and it contains 20 sachets, and they say you must finish it. After 5, I'm sure before you get to 10, you lose control. That is how it is. When you have quantity of data at a rate it cannot handle, it brings down the traffic, and everybody seems, I can't do this, I can't access file, the FTP is not working, I can't get internet, you know, the network is overwhelmed, and that's denial of service. And it costs time, it costs money. You know, you want to get something done at a snap, and you are there, you know, the network is so slow. This is DOS that has happened. Maliciously formatted packets is sent to a host or an application, and the user is unable to handle it. Now, with that, it's a denial of service. Now, there's a broader to DOS. The broader of DOS is DDoS. It is also similar to the DOS, but it comes from a multiple and coordinated sources. The zone is that it's not just one, but this one is now, the D in front of this is distributed, you know, it's from multiple sources, coordinated sources. You understand? Now, when you have a network of infected hosts now, that network is called a bootnet. Now, the infected hosts are called zombies. You have seen zombies, there's a movie. You see zombies, the way they move. It is good, they hear the way they come. Even to turn to the right or left is wahala. So you can say a bootnet is a network of zombies, and the zombies are controlled by the handler systems, and they continue to infect more hosts and create more zombies. Zombies will just be created on the network, and of course, the services will be denied. Social denial of service also talks about search engine optimization. It's a technique to improve your website ranking by search engine. Those that are really involved in network marketing, internet marketing, and the likes, will know this. When your search optimization, search engine optimization is high, and when it is poisoned, it forces malicious sites to rank higher by increasing traffic to this malicious website, and for them to be ranked higher in the system. So let's quickly run through the last part of it, which is the cybersecurity landscape. This tends to be very, very interesting. And one of the things we want to talk about there is blended attack. It uses multiple techniques to compromise a target. And you can now, because of it, you now have hybrid of worms at the organ of worms, hybrid of Trojan horses, spyware, keyloggers, and the likes. Now, when you now have common blended attack example, you can use spam email messages. So you have to be careful of your spam email messages. It can be through instant messages or even legitimate sites to distribute links. And it can also, another example is DDoS, when you combine with the phishing emails. Examples of blended attack are the name DDA, call red, and the likes. They are all there in the material. Now, when all these things has happened, you as a professional, you that you are in that situation, and as a cybersecurity professional in that organization, what do you do? How do you reduce the impact of reduction? Because the attack has already taken place. The first thing, you need to communicate the issue. It is important. All the internal staff will be aware of what is happening. This is our situation. This is what is happening. This is what your communication matters. When you communicate to them, you have to be sincere and be accountable. Yes, it is our fault as an organization. It is my fault as a system administrator. I failed to block some ports. You must be sincere and be accountable for whatever, even if it means punishment. You have to be sincere and be accountable. And you need to provide details. Explain why the decision took place, and what was compromised. You need to be stated. All this is for everybody to have an idea and to forestall, to prevent further attacks. And when you provide all this, you need to understand the cause of the breach. You might even invite experts, forensic experts, to come and study how did it happen? By getting all this knowledge, you are very sure that it will not come up again. And once beaten, it's twice shy. You won't allow you to be attacked again, especially through those means. You take steps to avoid another similar breach in the future and ensure that all systems are clean. When they say clean, all ports are blocked, everything is clean. And you also educate your employees on so that they will not be easily manipulated using social engineering and the like, and even your customers. With this, you will reduce the impact. That's how to reduce the impact of an attack that has happened. So with this, we've come to the end of chapter 2, but in summary, the chapter covers ways by which the chapter 2 covers ways by which you, that security expert, that cybersecurity expert as you are, how you can analyze what has happened after an attack. We also explain about social security vulnerabilities, software vulnerabilities and hardware security vulnerabilities, and different types of malware that are available. It also talked about in this chapter and different kinds of attacks and how we can reduce the impact of an attack when your system is being attacked. So that is just a rundown of what chapter 2 is all about. So if you are yet to actually go through the chapter 2 with this idea, that you go through the text or the material, you'll be able to do it and be able to do the quiz that is there to be helpful to. So thank you very much. I'll give the floor now for further proceedings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that enlightening session. Please, a round of applause, electronic hands for Mr. Segun Buhari for that wonderful session, where he has gone through chapter 2 to explain how these attacks happen and try to give a good definitions of what these attacks are. Basically what we'll be doing for the next 10 minutes is exploring phishing. Now, phishing is one of the social engineering methods that people try to gain information, or these threat actors try to gain information from you as a data user and even from organizations. So according to a report, that's AWG's new phishing report trends for 2022, it will surprise you to note that the first quarter alone of 2022, there were about 1,025,968 phishing attacks from the first quarter of 2022. That's to show you that phishing attacks is still one of the very, will I say, easiest methods for these threat actors to try to get your data, to try to get information from you, and to try to get information from organizations. Now, why is it one of the common way? Because it's actually easier to get information from you than try to collect it using technical means. It's not everybody that is as good as that can hack into very secured networks, but anybody can engage in social engineering methods to try to get information from you. So basically what we'll just be reviewing is just tips about phishing. I'm just going to list out some tips here. Whenever you get emails, especially for email phishing, you have to, one, verify the sender's email. That's one of the important things that you need to do. Then two, you have to check for spelling and grammar mistakes. Some of these people that are trying to get information from you, they may not even be that good in English. You're just typing something, try to give you one fake information and all of that. So check grammar, spellings, although some of them are now getting better, but then that's part of the ways that you can get to know that this email is a phishing scam waiting to happen. Then you also can ensure that you do not open attachments unless you are expecting it. Don't just, because you get the email doesn't mean you should open it. As long as you are not expecting an attachment, please do not open it. Then do not click on the links before checking the URL. So there's a way you can actually take your mouse over the link that was sent in that email. Now you get to see where that link is going to. And if you see that that URL is not something that makes sense or is related, to what you actually know or what you are expecting, then you shouldn't click on that link. Then another thing is to verify the website you are visiting or being directed to. Make sure that the website you are being directed to is legitimate, and then do not allow anyone follow you into a restricted area. That's for maintaining physical security. All right, so what we're just going to be doing now is, for those of us who have our hands up, maybe we'll start from them. We're going to be doing a phishing quiz. So I'm going to put up a quiz. You're going to try to identify if that email is a legitimate email or it is not. So thank God we already have 3 persons. Oh, wonderful, we're getting more persons. So I know you want to ask questions, but we're going to start by asking you questions. So we have Salisu, we have Samuel, we have Chioma, we have, oh yes, that's the first female hand we're seeing, so we're starting from her. So I'm going to drop their hands. Sir?
I said I hope they won't drop their hands since we're asking
them.
I've
seen. No, I believe that Chioma is not going to drop down her hand. So let me quickly share my screen so that we can go through this together. Just a second. Let me ensure that my browser is on the page I want it to be. All right, let me do that again. All right, yeah. Should be up now. So this is a site called phishingquiz.withgoogle.com. So it's actually one of the websites you can use to identify, or more like train yourself. So can you spot when you are being phished? So this is like a quiz. So we're going to try to take the quiz together. So the first person that will be helping us here is, let me stop share for a second. Like I said, is dear Chioma. Please, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. So please do. All right, perfect. Yeah, good evening. Thank you for joining us on this call. So we are going to be the first person to answer the quiz that we have here. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to look at this email. You're going to tell me what to do in order for you to be able to verify if the email is a legitimate email or phishing scam. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so I'll click on take the quiz. Let me just put in something here. Doesn't matter. Okay, just a second. Anything. All right, so we have an email here. Let me make this bigger for you. So remember I shared some tips recently concerning email. So please tell us, is this email legitimate?
Sorry, I cannot see your screen.
I can't see your screen, sir.
Oh, sorry, I didn't share my screen. I'm so sorry about that. All right, check now. All right, so we have an email here. Can you see it now? Hello?
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
okay, so you can tell me what to do. You want me to take my mouse over someplace, or you want to check something? Just let me know before you answer to let us know if this is a phishing email or phishing scam or a legitimate email.
If it is in an organization, it is legit in my opinion.
Okay. So your answer is that this is a legitimate email.
I can barely hear you.
So your answer, are you saying your answer is that this is actually a legitimate email? So I want to click on it.
Are you there?
Pardon? Okay, so it's a legitimate email address. I mean, an email from a legitimate source. So let's click on legitimate.
Yes.
But it actually is a phishing email.
Yes,
So
legitimate.
It's not a legitimate email. So let me try to explain why it is not a legitimate email. If I take my mouse over here, if you look at the bottom left corner of my screen, you will see something like http :/, then you have drive google.com/luke.johnson. Now, under normal circumstances, you know that this is not supposed to be this way. One, http no s, then drive google.com does not sound or does not look legitimate. So that is one of the ways that you can spot a phishing email. Just like we said.
Okay, because it's not HTTPS.
Yeah, apart from that, of course, if this is a departmental budget, you should be expecting this email to come from your
I can't see the
email
HTTP
or your office email.
Yeah,
no problem. We're all learning. That's fine. So thank you so much for participating in that. We call it somebody else. So this time around, we'll call Nuhu Lafia. Nuhu Lafia, you are the next person to spot the phishing. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So let's go to the next one. Let me share my screen once again.
Miracle.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I had to go to the dark class now, starting by the paper
Right,
class.
sir.
So I'll be exiting.
Thank you, sir.
So that I can make up for the class. Thank you.
Right. So, Mr. Nuhu,
Yes, sir.
this is the email address. I mean, the email that was sent. Is this a legitimate email or phishing scam? You can tell me what to do to verify. You can just tell me if you want me to take my mouse over someplace, anything. You can also, whatever it is you want me to do, just tell me. So is it a phishing?
It's a legitimate email.
All right, it's selected.
Legitimate.
It's a legitimate email.
legitimate.
All right. Thank you so much
Yes,
for that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and you find out that
Okay.
this is actually a phishing email. And do you know why? If you look at this point here, we have eFax, E and FAX as the logo for this service. But when you look at the email that this is coming from, you say no reply at eFax. That is EFACKS.com.
Yes.
So it
yes.
doesn't correlate with this, with the name of the institution or the organization that is sending this email. So that is another way. You need to be very careful to spot all these things. These people can mess around with different domain names, can be names to what you think is legitimate. So you have to take a second look at all times. Another way you can check it is that you can see that this is http efax.hosting.com.mail.ru. You can see very long email, very long URL that this thing is pointing to. So that is part of, or one of the ways to check or identify a phishing scam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this let's say web address with everybody. So on your own, you can check out these things together, or you can check these things out. So you train yourself to identify some of these things. These things are very tricky. They are very tricky, and these guys are getting smarter by the day. I'm sure even if you go to your spam box, you see a lot of them. They are there. That means your email provider has even already identified those emails as phishing emails. So you can even look at them and look at how they are framed and all that. So in case anyone passes that check, that automatic check, and then gets into your inbox, you can employ these methods, taking a second look, looking at the URLs, looking at who sent it, and also trying to ensure that this thing is coming from a legitimate source. So I've just posted the URL on our chat box here. So please copy it, visit that site, just take the quiz. It's for learning. So you just learn, you train yourself, and then you'll be better at spotting phishing scams. All right, we have successfully spent 2 minutes ahead of the 1 hour that we're supposed to use for this class. I still see a couple of hands raised, but we may not be able to, do that quiz for that. The quiz that we expected, we thought we'll be able to do for everyone. So I hope we enjoyed today's lesson. And for those of us that participated in the quiz, I hope you enjoyed the quiz. So please, the website is there. Click on that link and try to train yourself on identifying phishing scams. Now, I've been seeing more questions about how to access the course material. The material is online on netacad.com. So please go in, log in, and you will see. Once you are there, you should see something like this. So you click on, oh, sorry, I should share. Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm supposed to share my screen. So you should see something like this, and then you launch course. So by the time you launch course, you'll be brought to where the course is. You click on the material, and you'll be good to go. So just like I said when we started, the material is online alone. There is no offline copy for now. So please log on to your NetAcad, take the quizzes, participate in the activity that I showed us the other time that will help you get more understanding, at least keep you abreast with the certain concepts and terms that we have or that are used in cybersecurity. So let me send the link again for that. And let me send the NetAcad the website again to the chat box, just for those that are not logged in. So I've sent the two of them now, the phishing quiz and the netacad.com. So thank you so much for joining today's call. We're so happy with the number that came here today, and we expect that at least by the end of this week or by the end of next week, you should have completed the course, and there will be inviting one of us or 2 or 3 persons to come to share with us what you've learned, and then we'll see how we can go from there. So thank you so much once again, and it's bye from this end.